Hello everyone, welcome back to the Austin Physio YouTube channel. Today we are going to be talking about coccydynia. So I always start off with adding a little bit of ice for coccydynia pain, and this is when we're thinking about it as very straightforward pain over the coccyx. So this can be from bruising or trauma, but we always recommend before starting this video getting a diagnosis properly for your pain. Absolutely key, as lots of other complications can arise. So for the first 30 seconds we always start off in a child's pose position, and the reason why I absolutely love this position is as you're stretching back, you're stretching through the spine, you're stretching down towards the coccyx, you're stretching the lower back as well as the surrounding pelvic muscles. What we then want to look at once you've done this stretch is for the next 30 seconds we want to go into a movement. So as you're going back into the child's pose, what you're adding in is a slight deviation side to side, and the reason why this is so key is if there's compression of the coccyx or pain around the coccyx at the lowest part of the spine, it's very likely that there will be trauma and aggravation and tightness higher up as well. So you're adding in that movement. This is why for the next 30 seconds we're going to look at a cat-cow movement, because as you're going up into an extension and then a flex position, you're moving through all segments of the spine. And this is absolutely key, and you'll probably find one way will be more uncomfortable than the other. Normally as we come up and we lift up through the back is normally where it's a little bit more uncomfortable, but we want to start to regain movement, allow it to heal, because although typically when a bone is bruised or when there's bruising or tightness around the area, it naturally kind of heals on its own. We want to encourage that healing as well as stability after. So we're looking at glute activation here, so we want to try and aim for 30 seconds on each side. So what you're doing is on hands and knees, keeping the core incredibly tight here, so think about that corset of support. What you're going to do is bend at the knee, you're going to kick the leg back, hold for a second on end range, and then bring back towards the floor. So we want to aim to do 30 seconds on each side. So lovely, slow and controlled, holding the core tight, activating through this area. So if this is too uncomfortable, just start with the initial exercises in terms of movement and add this in later, because this is something that we would want to progress onto once it's started to settle. Next, we want to trigger point release around the area. So we've done this in a lot of our videos, and I absolutely love using this, particularly when there's soreness. So there's a lot of muscles that attach into the sacrum down towards the coccyx, and so here we're releasing through the piriformis, through the glutes. So again, when you've had trauma and you've fallen on an area, it's never just one thing. Lots of structures gets involved, lots of structures become really sore. So absolutely key to add that pressure. So what you're doing is you're finding a tender point, holding for 2 to 5 seconds or as long as until it takes it to drop from an 8 out of 10 to a 1 or 2 out of 10, and then move on to another point. So we're doing this for a good minute because we want to spend about 30 seconds on one side and then 30 seconds on the other side. So again, just taking the pressure off around the pelvis. Next, we want to activate through the pelvic floor and the core. So as you breathe in, you're going to push the tummy out, and as you breathe out, you're going to pull the tummy in tight, and you're going to pull up through the pelvic floor. So as we breathe in, we push the tummy out, and as we breathe out, tight, lifting up through. So imagine you're pulling up towards your belly button, and you're holding that for 5 seconds. So as we breathe in, push the tummy out, and as you breathe out, pull it in tight, pushing towards the floor and then lifting up towards the belly button for the pelvic floor, and then holding for 5 seconds and then relaxing. For the next 30 seconds, we want to move on to a glute bridge. So this is a great way to activate through the glutes that get quite sore around that coccyx pain, to strengthen later but also regain stability through the core, because when we've had pain, we walk differently, we move differently. So it's really important to regain that stability after and that strength around the area. So absolutely vital. So you're going to lift up, hold for a second and then relax down. We want to add this in after we've done the pelvic floor activation. For the final 30 seconds, it's just doing a gentle movement through all structures. So you're swaying the knees side to side to move through the pelvis, as well as through that lumbar spine into the lower back. And you want to do this for a lovely 30 seconds at the end, just to flush through all structures, take away any tightness, and then integrate that movement between the pelvis, hips, and lower back.